Chosen woman, listen carefully. Life is full of people who will cross your path, but not all of them deserve a place in your heart. Some men come not to uplift, but to drain, not to support, but to distract you from your divine purpose. God has destined you for greatness, and your energy is sacred. Every person you allow near your spirit should contribute to your growth, joy, and alignment with your purpose. Anything less is dangerous. Today, I want to expose 9 types of men you must never let into your life, so that you can protect your peace and guard your destiny. Many women unknowingly allow toxic energy to enter their lives because they are blinded by charm, temporary attention, or false promises. A chosen woman recognizes the red flags early and does not compromise her worth. God is with you, guiding you to make choices that align with your future and your blessings. The men you let into your life can either accelerate your rise or sabotage your growth. Let's break down these 9 dangerous types so that you can discern clearly and never settle for anything less than what you deserve. 1. The manipulator. The manipulator is one of the most dangerous men a chosen woman can encounter because his presence erodes both your peace and your perception of reality over time. This man has an uncanny ability to twist your words, bend your emotions, and influence your thoughts to serve his selfish agenda. He will often make you question what you truly feel, what you truly want, and even who you are at your core. It begins subtly, small instances of guilt-tripping, invalidating your feelings, or convincing you that your instincts are wrong. Before long, your confidence is shaken, and your sense of reality becomes clouded. Manipulators thrive on control and emotional power. They see kindness, empathy, and generosity not as virtues but as weaknesses to exploit. A chosen woman must recognize this immediately. No amount of charm or pleading can change the manipulator's need for dominance. He is not just testing boundaries, he is systematically dismantling them to create a psychological and emotional dependency. The consequences are far-reaching. Over time, you may find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, second-guessing your decisions, or feeling a strange sense of fear or unease around someone who outwardly seems harmless. Protecting your mind and heart is not optional, it is sacred. Spiritual wisdom teaches that your soul is precious, and allowing someone to manipulate it is not only dangerous but spiritually corrosive. A manipulator is often emotionally intelligent enough to detect your weaknesses, and he will use them against you. For the chosen woman, awareness is the first shield. Recognize manipulation when it arises, trust your instincts, and stand firm in your truth. Walk away if you must, for no connection, however charming or promising, is worth the slow erosion of your mental and emotional well-being. Guard your heart as you would your most valuable possession because, in many ways, it is the seat of your purpose, your light, and your divine strength. 2. The liar. Honesty is the foundation of trust, intimacy, and spiritual alignment. And a man who consistently lies is fundamentally incompatible with a chosen woman. Lies can take many forms. Some are blatant and obvious, while others are subtle, like omission, exaggeration, or carefully crafted half-truths. But the end result is the same: deceit corrodes the soul. A man who lies regularly cannot be trusted, not just in his words, but in his intentions and actions. Initially, he may be charming, persuasive, and seemingly devoted. He may tell you exactly what you want to hear, echo your beliefs, and make promises that sound like divine alignment with your life's path. Yet behind closed doors, a different reality exists. Lies, even small ones, create cracks in the foundation of any relationship. They erode your peace slowly, often imperceptibly, until you find yourself doubting yourself, questioning your judgment, or feeling anxious in moments that should bring joy. The chosen woman knows that truth is sacred. It is a spiritual compass that aligns her with divine guidance. When deception is present, your life, energy, and purpose can be subtly derailed. Early detection is crucial. If you sense inconsistencies, contradictions, or evasions, it is a clear signal to pay attention. Do not rationalize or excuse dishonesty with love, desire, or fear of loneliness. God desires that you be surrounded by people whose integrity strengthens your spirit rather than undermines it. A lie will drain your energy, mislead your heart, and ultimately prevent you from achieving the destiny that requires clarity, trust, and alignment. Recognize that walking away from someone who cannot honor truth is not a failure or overreaction. It is an act of spiritual protection. The chosen woman values honesty above comfort, recognizing that truth fosters growth, peace, and divine connection, while lies are corrosive forces that ultimately steal both joy and spiritual harmony. 3. The irresponsible dreamer. Ambition, vision, and dreams are attractive qualities in any man. But when ambition is divorced from action, it becomes a dangerous illusion. The irresponsible dreamer is a man who constantly talks about what he will achieve, the life he will build, and the future he envisions, but rarely, if ever, takes steps to manifest it. His promises are grand, filled with inspiring words, yet hollow in execution. For a chosen woman, such a man represents not just a distraction, but a drain on energy and focus. She is walking a path aligned with divine purpose, pursuing goals, cultivating spiritual strength, and building the life she is meant to live. The dreamer demands attention, emotional support, and belief in his plans, yet rarely offers tangible effort or reliability in return. Over time, his empty promises can sap enthusiasm, creating frustration, resentment, and wasted time. Resources a chosen woman cannot afford to squander. This man thrives on validation. He craves admiration for his visions, but shies away from responsibility and discipline. The chosen woman must recognize that no amount of patience, guidance, or encouragement can replace the self-drive necessary to fulfill her destiny. She must see clearly that nurturing a man who refuses to step into his own purpose is not an act of love. It is enabling a pattern of irresponsibility. God's design is for relationships where both parties are committed to growth, action, and shared spiritual alignment. The irresponsible dreamer cannot participate in such a divine arrangement. Allowing him prolonged access to your life risks stagnation, emotional exhaustion, and deviation from your purpose. The lesson is firm. Admire vision, yes, but demand evidence of action. Protect your time, energy, and focus. Walk away if necessary, for the chosen woman is called to be a partner in strength and action, not a spectator to unfulfilled potential. Your life and purpose require allies who match your dedication, not men who live in a realm of fantasy while expecting reality to bend around them. The abuser, verbally, emotionally, or physically. Abuse in any form, verbal, emotional, or physical, is an attack on the essence of a chosen woman's spirit, and it is non-negotiable. The abuser seeks control, domination, or validation through harm, whether subtle or overt, and no apology, excuse, or fleeting act of kindness can justify enduring it. Verbal abuse may appear as sarcasm, belittling comments, or constant criticism, wearing down confidence and self-worth over time. Emotional abuse can involve manipulation, guilt-tripping, isolation, or controlling behavior, often leaving the victim questioning their own sanity. Physical abuse, of course, is the most overt form and represents a clear and immediate threat to safety. For the chosen woman, recognizing abuse is both a spiritual and practical imperative. God desires that she walk strong, empowered, and unbroken, and no human relationship should compromise that divine calling. Abusers often create a cycle of tension, apology, and temporary reconciliation, which can trap even the most aware individual in confusion and hope for change. Yet patterns of abuse rarely transform without consistent accountability and intervention, and the responsibility to leave ultimately rests with the one being harmed. Protecting your mind, body, and soul is sacred. Abuse is never deserved, and no spiritual or emotional justification should ever persuade a chosen woman to remain in harm's way. Walking away is not only an act of self-preservation, but also one of spiritual alignment, signaling that your life and purpose cannot be diminished by another's cruelty. Strength, boundaries, and discernment are your weapons. The abuser cannot coexist with divine favor, because the relationship is built on destruction, not mutual upliftment. Choosing peace, safety, and respect is choosing life, empowerment, and alignment with God's plan. Never compromise your sacred essence for someone's momentary charm, control, or intimidation. 5. The narcissist. A narcissist is a man consumed by self-admiration, ego, and a relentless focus on his own needs, desires, and image. While he may initially seem charming, successful, or even affectionate, his love is conditional and transactional. It exists only to reinforce his self-worth. Everything in his world revolves around him, leaving little to no room for the needs, dreams, or spiritual growth of anyone else. The chosen woman, who is called to shine brightly and live in alignment with divine purpose, will find her energy depleted, her confidence undermined, and her light dimmed in his presence. Narcissists are masters at subtle manipulation, often cloaking self-centeredness in gestures of attention or flattery, creating a sense of emotional dependency. Over time, however, it becomes clear that their love is never fully given. It is borrowed to feed their ego, to project an image of power, charm, or influence. The chosen woman must understand that her spiritual and emotional vitality is sacred, and she cannot thrive in a relationship where the other party cannot see beyond himself. Narcissists drain joy, distort reality, and create emotional instability, leaving their partners questioning self-worth and purpose. Divine alignment requires reciprocity, respect, and genuine care, none of which can flourish in a narcissist's orbit. Walking away is not rejection. It is an assertion of self-respect, spiritual clarity, and long-term peace. Your light is meant to illuminate the world, inspire purpose, and cultivate joy, not dim to fill someone else's void. God surrounds the chosen woman with those whose hearts are aligned with hers, whose love is expansive rather than consumptive. Recognize that a narcissist's world is designed to elevate himself at your expense. Protect your energy, honor your worth, and never sacrifice your spiritual, emotional, or mental health for the sake of someone who cannot love fully or authentically. 6. The player. The player is a man who thrives on charm, flirtation, and the thrill of conquest, but he is fundamentally incapable of commitment. He may shower you with attention, compliments, and moments of passion, creating an intoxicating sense of excitement, but this is often a carefully crafted illusion designed to keep you emotionally entangled while he avoids responsibility or intimacy. The chosen woman must understand that charm alone is not a substitute for loyalty, honesty, or alignment in purpose. A player is often skilled at reading desires, vulnerabilities, and emotional triggers, using them to create attachment without offering anything lasting in return. Over time, the player's pattern becomes painfully clear: highs of attention followed by periods of absence, mixed messages, and a consistent avoidance of serious discussion about the future. This behavior can be addictive, especially when combined with the rush of infatuation, but it is spiritually and emotionally corrosive. The chosen woman's heart is precious, a vessel of divine energy meant to nurture, inspire, and align with someone who truly values her essence. Allowing a player access to that sacred space risks long-term pain, distraction from purpose, and erosion of self-worth. The lesson is not just to avoid deception, but to recognize the spiritual misalignment inherent in such connections. God's design for relationships is rooted in reciprocity, respect, and shared growth. A player offers only temporary pleasure, shallow connection, and emotional turmoil. A chosen woman must protect her heart fiercely, recognizing that true alignment comes from a partnership where love, respect, and commitment are unwavering. Walking away from charm, thrill, or the illusion of affection is not weakness. It is strength, discernment, and fidelity to divine purpose. Your life, energy, and destiny are far too valuable to be wasted on someone whose devotion exists only in fleeting moments of selfish gratification. Choose partners whose hearts, vision, and intentions resonate with your sacred calling, not those seeking amusement at the expense of your peace. 7. The negative thinker. The negative thinker is a man whose worldview is steeped in doubt, limitation, and pessimism. He sees obstacles instead of opportunities, problems instead of solutions, and fear instead of faith. For the chosen woman, who thrives on hope, vision, and alignment with divine purpose, this type of energy can be deeply draining. Constant exposure to negativity subtly shapes your perspective, creating uncertainty, self-doubt, and hesitation. The negative thinker criticizes frequently, complains incessantly, and rarely offers encouragement or constructive insight. His presence can make you question your decisions, diminish your optimism, and even erode your spiritual connection. A chosen woman must recognize that her environment, emotional, mental, and spiritual, is a reflection of her inner life. When surrounded by pessimism, it becomes difficult to maintain clarity, focus, and faith. The negative thinker may not intend harm, but his habitual perspective is incompatible with the growth, joy, and alignment that the chosen woman seeks. God calls her to cultivate hope, courage, and resilience, and she cannot fully do so while anchored to someone who constantly pulls her downward. This does not mean ignoring challenges or avoiding reality. It means discerning who contributes to her spiritual and emotional growth versus who diminishes it. Relationships with negative thinkers often follow a subtle pattern of energy drain. Optimism is met with criticism, dreams are met with doubt, and faith is met with sarcasm or dismissal. Walking away is not arrogance. It is an act of preservation and alignment with divine intention. The chosen woman must protect her mind, heart, and spirit from toxic influence, surrounding herself with people who uplift, inspire, and encourage. Faith thrives in an environment of hope and support, not constant negativity. Recognizing the impact of habitual pessimism on your life is an act of spiritual intelligence, ensuring that your light remains strong, your vision remains clear, and your journey toward purpose is unhindered by those who cannot see the divine potential within themselves or others. 8. The irreverent man. The irreverent man is one who disrespects God, spiritual principles, or sacred values, and such disrespect is incompatible with the life of a chosen woman. Spiritual alignment is central to her purpose, guiding decisions, relationships, and actions. A partner who undermines this connection, mocks faith, or dismisses divine principles disrupts not only harmony in the relationship, but also the foundation upon which her life is built. Disrespect may manifest subtly through sarcasm, disregard for prayer or sacred practices, or flippant comments about beliefs, or overtly through disdain, mockery, or overt opposition to spiritual guidance. Regardless of form, the irreverent man introduces chaos, distraction, and disharmony, into a chosen woman's spiritual journey. For her, faith is not merely a practice, but a source of strength, clarity, and divine connection. And anyone who disrespects this sacred bond cannot coexist in alignment with her purpose. God intends for the chosen woman to walk in divine favor, empowered by principles that guide her choices and sustain her energy. An irreverent partner weakens this foundation, leading to conflict, doubt, and spiritual distraction. The lesson is clear. Spiritual misalignment is a warning sign, not a challenge to be corrected or tolerated. Distance is required to preserve inner peace, clarity, and alignment with divine purpose. Surrounding yourself with those who honor, respect, and uplift sacred values is not optional, it is necessary. Walking away from irreverence is not rejection of the person, it is devotion to your calling, your spiritual health, and your purpose-driven path. A chosen woman thrives when supported in faith, inspired by spiritual integrity, and aligned with a partner who honors God, values principles, and reflects respect in every action. Protecting this sacred connection ensures not only personal peace, but also the fulfillment of a life in divine alignment. 9. The opportunist. The opportunist is a man who engages in relationships only when there is something to gain, your money, time, influence, or resources, but vanishes when support, love, or loyalty is required in return. His presence is transactional, driven by self-interest, and devoid of genuine care. At first, his charm, attentiveness, or generosity may appear attractive, but closer observation reveals a pattern. He gives when convenient, disappears when responsibilities arise, and treats connection as a temporary tool rather than a meaningful bond. The chosen woman, whose life is guided by purpose, integrity, and divine alignment, cannot afford to invest in someone who sees her value as a resource to exploit rather than a partner to honor. Such relationships drain energy, distort judgment, and distract from spiritual and life goals. God desires that she be surrounded by people whose intentions are genuine, whose love is reciprocal, and whose loyalty is unwavering. Opportunists undermine these principles, creating imbalance and emotional strain. Their patterns are often subtle, involving favors requested without reciprocation, emotional attention that only comes when needed, or sudden disappearances that leave the chosen woman confused or unsupported. Recognizing this pattern requires discernment, awareness, and a refusal to rationalize behavior for the sake of temporary convenience or perceived affection. Walking away is not cruelty. It is alignment with divine purpose, self-respect, and long-term peace. The chosen woman deserves relationships built on mutual support, genuine care, and spiritual and emotional reciprocity. Those seeking only temporary gain are incompatible with her path. Protecting your energy, valuing your contributions, and expecting loyalty ensures that your life remains aligned with divine intent, surrounded by allies who honor, cherish, and genuinely invest in your growth and well-being, rather than those who manipulate, exploit, or vanish when it matters most. Chosen woman, your life, your energy, and your destiny are too sacred to be wasted on the wrong men. God is raising you, protecting you, and preparing you for blessings far greater than temporary distractions. This is the Woman of Light channel. If this message reached you at the perfect time you needed it, honor that divine alignment. Subscribe now to stay connected to more messages of guidance and empowerment, and type 11 in the comment section as a sign of gratitude and to invite divine blessings into your life. Thank you for watching.